Hello and welcome to episode 32. We are going to be covering JSON in Python today. JSON is just the letters JSON, like this, and it just means JavaScript Object Notation. So a JavaScript object looks just like a Python dictionary, and basically we'll just assign one here, and the difference is we're going to put it inside these quotes, and then we'll build our object really quick. So we'll have name, and we'll just do Bob, our typical name. We can have age with an integer here, and then we'll do a close curly bracket. So this looks just like a Python dictionary. Now when we're writing it out this way, if we start breaking it up onto different lines, we're going to get errors. So, and that's just because of these quotes here. If we were just assigning the value, the object itself, to X, it would just be a dictionary in Python. But our goal here is to pretend that X is some kind of a JSON object that we're getting, and we're getting that through either an API call, or we just have like a JSON file and we want to access that file. So pretend that this is just some JSON file that happens to be called X. So what the way that we're going to work with it is we're going to import a module, and the module is just called JSON here. And that's a Python module. And so now we can take something like the variable y, and we can do json.loads, and we can pass X into here, which is our entire JSON object. So our entire JavaScript object notation here, object that's assigned to X. So we're just going to load all of that. And then we're able to print now that we've loaded it. So what this is actually doing is it's taking a JSON string, which is why it's in these quotes. This is a string, right? And then it's parsing it using JSON loads, and the result, this Y, is actually a Python dictionary. So you're able to do anything that you could do with a Python dictionary. So we know that we can access the keys in a Python dictionary like this. We can write something like age, right? So we go ahead, save that. We'll open the terminal, py32.py, and you see that we get 30 back. So just keep in mind that this is a string, is how it's loading with this JSON loads. We're parsing it into a Python dictionary. And then with that Python dictionary, we can access whatever. And I've actually used this a lot. I use Python all the time to convert CSV files, which are comma separated values, into JSON. And then I use something like this to work with the JSON. And then I'm going to comment that out really quick, and I want to show that we can also convert from Python to JSON, which we could also do, and I have also done this. So here, if we have our Python dictionary, and we'll kind of do the same thing here. Maybe I'll just copy that, actually, for simplicity's sake. Paste, and then we have our age, and we'll just add a useless thing called color here. Make that red. We'll save that. I messed up something down here, so close that out. Okay, so now we want to convert this from Python, from a dictionary. This is a Python dictionary here. And I'll just go ahead and write that just so we can keep it straight. And then here we're going to turn it into JSON. And the way that we do that is that we'll assign this variable y, json.dumps, and we'll just dump X into Y. And just think of it, like I always think of this like a dump truck, just unloading the dictionary, and the dump is the JSON. So, and then we can just print Y here, and we'll see what we get this time. Save, print Y, and you see that we get this output thing, and it's going to look just like a dictionary, but this is actually JSON. And remember, if you're ever curious, like if you're wondering if Y is still a dictionary, we have that type method that we can use in Python. So we can just print this, run 32.py, and you see that we have class string. So this is now a JSON string, just like this up here, and it is not a dict. So if we do type of X in here, you see that we have a dict. So that's how you can tell that dumps has actually converted it into a JSON string. And you can convert all kinds of Python objects into JSON strings and print the values. And I'll just go ahead and type out a bunch of examples really quick. So I'm going to pause the video, type those out, and then just demonstrate. All right, so you see here that we have our initial dictionary here that has been converted into a string, and I took out the type so that it's just the string. Then I added this list, I added a tuple, I added a string. We have an integer, a float, a Boolean true, a Boolean false, and a none. And then we'll go ahead and see what that equals. Print that off, and you see that we're getting all those values with the JSON dumps. So all of these have been converted into a string, and you see that none actually converts to null. So, and that's because it's JavaScript, and JavaScript uses null. And not that you should be running into this, because hopefully you installed Python with this video or updated it. But if you have an earlier version of Python, sometimes this none value will actually cause an issue. And I think they fixed that in Python 2.6. So if you run into that issue, just update your Python, and then it should work fine with this JSON module. And just so that we're clear, let's kind of cover what all of these convert into, because JavaScript calls things by different names. So a dictionary doesn't exist in Python or in JavaScript. It's actually an object. So I'll just go ahead and pause, and I'm just going to comment what it actually converts into in JavaScript. So I commented it all out, but it will take a Python dictionary and turn it into a JavaScript object. It will take a Python list, convert it into a JavaScript array. Tuples are arrays in JavaScript. Strings are strings with a capital S in JavaScript. Int is a number, float is a number, true is actually lowercase in JavaScript, false, false, none is null. So if you're working with any kind of web development platform, which is what I do typically, then you will need to know this stuff, because this will give you errors. Like for instance, you could build a full stack application, and I don't want to get too far out into the weeds, but you could have a back end, like a server running Python with like Flask or Django, and it could be serving these JSON strings to a JavaScript front end. That's highly common. I have a full stack web app that uses Python and JavaScript in that manner. But just to stay on topic, I just wanted to touch on that really quick. You could also have a Python object that has all of those data types in one single object. Like if we were to just put all of this into one object, and we can convert that one time. So again, I'm going to pause really quick. I'll convert all of this into that. If you want, you can just comment this out in your notes. I'm going to just use this to convert into an object. Okay, so I've converted everything here into this Python object, and you see that it has these key value pairs. List is a list, tuple, a string, all the same stuff that we had before. And then I added this down here, this print JSON dumps, and we're going to pass that object in. Go ahead and save. We'll run that, and you see that it prints it all out to this string here. So we're able to convert all of that into the JSON string. One of the other parameters that you can pass into JSON dumps is an indent parameter. So we can have our object here, which is A, and then we can pass indent in, and we can say indent 4, and then we'll print it. And now you see it's a lot easier to read. So it's indenting all of it. I'll just expand my terminal so you can see it easier. Hopefully here. So it's indenting, and you can see like it indents the list key, right? And then since it's a list, it indents the values inside of the list another 4 spaces. And like I said before, 4 is pretty common with Python. I'm doing 2 for the tutorial just because I work mostly with JavaScript, and that's what I can read the easiest and I prefer. So not a big deal, especially when you're working on your own apps. But if you start working with somebody else, just follow whatever format they're using. That's a pretty common thing, to maybe have to adapt your formatting to someone else's formatting. You can also add an argument or a parameter that's called separators, and you can change how all of that is working here. So we would come up here and we'll type separators, which is a word I commonly misspell, and then you could just change whatever you want. You can change periods, equal signs, stuff like that. And then come down here and run it. And then now you see that we have this. So up here, I'll just expand. Last time we ran it, right, we were getting these colons. now we're getting equal signs instead of colons. So we've just changed the separator. So that could be really useful depending on what kind of data you're outputting. Just know that that's an option as a built-in parameter. You don't have to write a whole nother method or function. You can just pass it in as an argument to JSON dumps. And another thing that you can pass in is you can actually order the result. And this is something you'll run into with data structures and algorithms or some database stuff. Like when you're dealing with databases, you might want to sort the keys. So for that, it's really easy. It's just sort underscore keys equal true. And that's it. And then we come down here, and now you can see that it's sorted it. So the order is different, and it's alphabetical, if you're wondering. So it moved our Boolean value up top, obviously. So all pretty useful stuff, and it's nice that those are just built-in parameters. And that covers the basics of Python JSON, and I will say that I do use Python a lot for converting data types like the CSVs to JSON and JSON to Python objects, and then I manipulate the data however I want from there. So very useful stuff to know, very cool module, and thanks for watching.